Alright, I want you to close your eyes and remember the dazzling lights of Lumio City, the rustling leaves of Santalene Forest, the roar of the crowd as Ash Ketchum stepped onto the battlefield, more determined than ever. This was Kalos, a region of beauty, of strength, of evolution, in every sense of the word. Here Ash didn't just battle, he transformed. With a team unlike any before, he pushed his limits farther than ever. The unshakable bond with Greninja, the explosive power of Ash Greninja, the heart-pounding clashes that left us breathless. This was Ash at his peak, but it wasn't just about power. It was about the people. Serena, whose journey of self-discovery inspired millions. Clement, the brilliant inventor whose gadgets saved the day more than just once. Bonnie, whose spirit reminded us all that even the smallest trainers have the biggest hearts. And let's not forget Team Rocket. Well, they were still just Team Rocket. But aside from those bumbling buffoons, this generation had battles that defined it. The strategic showdowns with Sawyer, where every move was a masterpiece. The brutal fire and fury clashes against Alon, a rivalry that pushed Ash to his absolute limits. And that Kalos League. Oh, that Kalos League. The victories that had us leaping from our seats. The defeats that stung, but made us believe he'd come back stronger. But then, the ending. That moment when the dream slipped through his fingers once again. Fans around the world watched, hearts in their throat, as Ash fell just short of glory. Some say it was a necessary lesson, that true strength isn't just about winning. Others still feel the ache of what could have been, but one thing's for certain, no ending has ever sparked so much passion or so much debate. Yet, through it all, Kalos changed Ash forever. It wasn't just another step in his journey. It was the moment the world saw what he was truly capable of. So, what do you think? What was his greatest chapter? The one that proved he had what it takes to be a champion? Or does the final battle still haunt you, leaving you wondering, what if? Well, I can tell you, this is a question that has plagued me for the longest of time. I felt that Kalos was truly Ash at his peak. They could have reasonably ended the series here with a win for him, giving him his final run in the entire Pokemon anime, and it would have been a sweet send-off. However, that's my nostalgic brain talking. I love Pokemon, and I love going back to older generations to rewatch the episodes that I did when I was younger. However, after a rewatch, I had to ask myself, was X and Y truly as good as we remember it? While it had a lot of highs and a lot of lows, was there a better way that we could actually have done things? And after doing a lot of thinking and researching, I came to the conclusion that this was indeed possible. While the X, Y, and Z generation of the anime was a great adaptation from the games, I can tell you one thing that it struggled with was cohesiveness between it, the movies, and past generations. And you guys know me. If there's one thing that I like to do in a story, it's to make sure that everything falls into place nice and neat. Oh, and by the way, my name is Ronan, and if you're new to the channel, this is a series that I do every so often, where I'll take a generation from the Pokemon anime and turn it into a scenario where I like to ask the question of, what if Ash won this league? So today, we're going to be exploring that question, as in, what if Ash won the Kalos League? This is going to be a complete and total rewrite from the ground up. It's going to be an original story with original events that we didn't get in the actual anime. But before we actually get into things, there's a couple of ground rules that we have to establish in the beginning, just like we normally do. First things first, this is going to be written from the point that we are just experiencing X and Y for the first time. That means that any Pokemon that come after this generation are not going to be included in the rewrite, unless they were introduced in this generation. Also, I'm going to be writing this from the point of view that this is going to be Ash's last adventure in the anime. I really think that X and Y could have had the same level of send-off as they gave him in the Pokemon Journeys anime. So that's going to be exactly what I attempt to do here. And one final point, I'm also going to be writing this without Team Rocket. Yeah, I know you guys are probably a little bit sick and tired of me not including our favorite terrible trio in these anime rewrites, but I need you to understand something. After a certain point in the anime, I feel like they became redundant. It was just the same old gag, capture Pikachu, and they become the main reason why Ash gets all of his experience in the region. Most of their encounters either trigger some sort of evolution and growth with his Pokemon, or are the baby steps that help him get to that point. And I just want to eliminate that crutch from the entire scenario, as I don't really think that they offer anything to the story past Gen 5 really. But don't worry, I have other stories that are ongoing with them currently, like what if Indigo Champion Ash challenged the Battle Frontier? They're a mainstay in that story, and you can go back and check that out. However, enough about that, let's get into the reason why we're here. I decided that I was going to tackle this What If Ash 1 series this time because of the announcement of Legends ZA. I figured it would be a perfect way to tie in to the current events of what's going on in the real world, and get some genuine traffic flowing to the channel. Now, I am only going to release part 1 on the main YouTube channel. This is going to be a patron and channel member exclusive series for the time being. So if you're only able to see part 1 at this current time, consider becoming a channel member or a patron. At the time of this going live on the main channel, part 2 will already be up. So you could get the chance to get involved with the story on a whole nother level. And as always, I appreciate the support. But with all that being said, don't forget to drop a like and a comment, because this is going to be a big one, and we need to fuel the algorithm as much as possible. Now, I've been yabbering long enough. Let's get into What If Ash Won the Kalos League, part 1. I hope you enjoy. In the shadowed annals of history, there lies a tale of a kingdom torn asunder by an ancient war, a conflict so brutal and unending that it seemed destined to consume the world. At the heart of this chaos stood a king, a once benevolent ruler whose heart had turned to stone after the loss of his beloved flower. It has been his light, his guiding star, and the flower's death at the hands of enemy forces shattered him. Consumed by grief and rage, the king vowed to end the war, not through diplomacy or strategy, but through annihilation. He would create a weapon so devastating that it would erase both sides of the conflict, ensuring no one would ever suffer as he had. Deep within the heart of his kingdom, the king's engineers toiled in secret, constructing a machine unlike anything the world had ever seen. It was a monstrous creation, powered by an ancient and forbidden energy source, a crystalline core said to harness the very essence of creation and destruction. The weapon, known as Yggdrasil, was designed to unleash a cataclysmic wave of energy, obliterating everything in his path. The king, driven mad by his grief, cared not for the consequences. He believed that only through total destruction could peace be achieved. But not everyone in the kingdom shared the king's vision. His younger brother, the prince, watched on in horror as the king descended further into madness. The prince had always been the voice of reason, the one who sought to heal rather than harm. He knew that Yggdrasil was not just a weapon of war, it was a bringer of extinction. The energy it wielded was unstable, unpredictable, and threatened to unravel the very fabric of reality. The prince could not stand idly by and allow his brother to doom the world. In the dead of night, the prince set in motion a daring plan. With the help of a small band of loyalists, he infiltrated the chamber's house of Yggdrasil. Their mission was clear: sabotage the weapon and prevent its activation. As the armies of the kingdom and its enemies clashed on the battlefield, the Yggdrasil began to awaken, its core glowing with an ominous light. But the prince's action had not been in vain. He managed to remove a vital component from the machine, the soul heart key that controlled its power. Without it, the Yggdrasil could not function as intended. What happened next was chaos incarnate. The weapon, destabilized by the prince's interference, went critical. A blinding explosion erupted, swallowing the battlefield and everything beyond it. The shockwave tore through the kingdom, leveling cities and scorching the earth. But the destruction did not end there. The Yggdrasil's unstable energy fractured reality itself, creating rifts in time and space. For a moment, it seemed as though the world would unravel entirely. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, the chaos ceased. The dust settled, revealing a wasteland where once there had been life. The armies were gone, the Yggdrasil was destroyed, and the king was nowhere to be found. In the aftermath, the prince emerged as the sole survivor of his royal family. Haunted by the devastation, he made it his life's mission to atone for his brother's sins. He buried the remnants of the Yggdrasil deep beneath the earth, ensuring that its dark power would never again see the light of day. He spent the rest of his time wandering the ruined land, helping survivors rebuild and seeking redemption for the horrors his family had unleashed. Centuries turned into millennia, and the memory of the ancient war faded into myth. The land healed, and humanity flourished once more. Cities rose where there had been only ash, and the scars of the past were buried beneath the layers of time. But, as the old saying goes, nothing stays buried forever. The Yggdrasil, though shattered and forgotten, still pulsed with a faint, malevolent energy. Its crystalline core, buried deep within the earth, began to stir. Whispers of its power reached the ears of those who sought to wield it, and the fractures in reality it had created began to widen. Now, in a world that has long since forgotten the sins of the past, the Yggdrasil threatens to awaken once more. Its power calls to those who would use it for their own ends, and the rifts it created beckoned with the promises of untold secrets. The ancient war, once thought to be a distant memory, may yet return to claim the future, for the past always finds its way back to the surface, one way or another. And when it does, the world will face a choice: to repeat the mistake of history or to forge a new path, free from the shadows of the past. The question is, will humanity and Pokemon be ready? The morning sun filtered through the curtains of Serena's cozy bedroom, casting a warm glow over the cluttered room. Posters of famous Pokemon performers and ribbons from past competitions adorned the walls, but Serena herself was buried under a mountain of blankets. Her auburn hair splayed across the pillow. Her mother stood in the doorway, hands on her hips, her patience wearing thin. "Serena, up now," the mother called, her voice sharp, but laced with the finest hint of amusement. "Rhyhorn has been waiting for hours. Your riding lessons started 2 hours ago." Serena groaned, pulling a blanket over her head. "5 more minutes," she mumbled, her voice muffled. Her mother sighed, shaking her head. "Fine, if you won't listen to me, maybe you'll listen to this." She reached for a Pokeball on her belt and released Fletchling in a flash of light. The small bird chirped cheerfully, fluttering its wings as it hovered in the air. "Fletchling, do me a favor and wake her up." Fletchling tilted its head, then zoomed towards Serena's bed, chirping loudly in her ear. Serena swatted at the air, her hand missing the bird entirely. "Go away," she muttered, rolling over, but Fletchling wasn't done. With a mischievous glint in its eye, it darted forward and gave Serena a sharp peck on the cheek. "Ow!" Serena shot right up, her hand flying at her face. "Fletchling, what was that for?" The bird Pokemon chirped again, clearly pleased with itself, and fluttered out of reach as Serena scrambled out of bed. "Oh, you're going to regret that," she declared, grabbing an empty Pokeball from her nightstand. She aimed it at Fletchling, but the bird was too quick, darting around the room with a series of playful chirps. Serena lunged, trying to catch it, but her foot caught on the leg of her desk. She stumbled forward, knocking over a stack of books and sending a half-empty glass of water crashing to the floor. "Ugh, Fletchling," she yelled, her frustration boiling over as the bird Pokemon laughed. Actually laughed before flying out the open window. Her mother's voice echoed from downstairs. "Serena, enough dawdling. Rhyhorn isn't going to wait forever." Serena slumped onto the edge of her bed, her shoulders sagging. She stared at the mess on the floor, her reflection in the broken glass, showing a girl who felt anything but ready for the day. "Why does it always have to be lessons?" she muttered to herself. "Riding, performing, training. When does it ever end?" She glanced at the photo on her desk, a picture of her and her mother a few years ago, both smiling brightly after a Rhyhorn race. Back then, Serena had been so eager to follow in her mother's footsteps, to become a world-class rider, but now, the endless drills and routines felt suffocating. She wanted something more, something that felt like her own. But how could she explain that to her mother? How could she make her understand that the path she had chosen for her Serena wasn't the one that she wanted to take? "Serena," her mother called again, her tone sharper this time. "If you're not down here in 5 minutes, you're cleaning Rhyhorn's stall for the week." Serena sighed, pushing herself to her feet. She grabbed her bag and headed for the door, casting one last glance at the photo. "Maybe one day," she whispered, "you'll see me for who I really am." But for now, she had a Rhyhorn to ride and a lesson to endure. The day stretched ahead for her, full of expectations and responsibilities, but deep down, Serena couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more out there, something waiting for her to discover, and maybe, just maybe, she'd find the courage to chase it. The Kalos region welcomes Ash Ketchum and his loyal partner Pikachu as the airplane touches down in the vibrant, bustling world of towering cities, lush landscapes, and new Pokemon adventures. Ash is brimming with excitement, ready to take on the Kalos Gym Challenge and prove himself once again. By his side is Alexa, a journalist and seasoned traveler who introduces himself to the wonders of the region. She casually mentions her sister, a gym leader, and Ash's eyes light up. "Is she the gym leader of Lumio City?" he asks eagerly, already imagining a thrill of battling in the region's most iconic city. Alexa chuckles and corrects him. Her sister is actually the gym leader of the Santaloon City Gym. Ash's shoulders slump slightly, but his determination quickly reignites when Alexa assures him there's a gym right here in Lumios that can be challenged. With a wave, they part ways and Ash sets off, Pikachu perched on his shoulder, ready for action. As Ash and Pikachu make their way through the bustling streets of Lumios, a mysterious Pokemon who watches from the shadows. The small, agile water type seems to be searching for something, or someone, and something about Ash catches his attention. However, the frog begins to follow the duo, keeping its distance but not losing sight of them. Ash's excitement builds as he approaches the Lumio City Gym, a towering structure that radiates power and prestige. On his way in, he passes a young boy with the head of wild blonde hair and a small girl with a bright, curious demeanor, Clement and Bonnie. Ash barely notices them, too focused on the gym battle ahead, but as soon as he steps inside, he's met with an unexpected obstacle. The gym's automated system asks him a simple yet devastating questions. "Do you have 7 gym badges? Ash, fresh off the plane and new to Kalos, admits that he doesn't. The robotic system coldly denies him entry, and before he knows it, he's unceremoniously ejected from the gym. Now falling from a height that could end the life of our young hero, Ash lets out a scream that catches the attention of everyone on the ground below. Noticing that Ash may become a pancake on the sidewalk below, the blonde-haired boy from before activates his backpack, catching our hero before he and Pikachu become one with the pavement. Ash lets out a sigh of relief before thanking Clement, to which the glasses-clad boy meekly says it wasn't a problem thanks to science. Ash seems to be oblivious to this declaration as he looks back up at the luminous tower. Dejected but not defeated, Ash vents his frustration to Pikachu. How am I supposed to get 7 badges if I can't even get to battle the first gym, he grumbles. Clement, acting a bit awkward and evasive, offers some cryptic advice, but Ash is too focused on his disappointment to notice anything strange. Meanwhile, Alon, a mysterious and intense trainer, observes the whole interaction from a distance, his sharp eyes taking in every detail, a bit amused about the events of Ash being dejected from the gym. Clement, perhaps feeling a bit guilty, offers Ash a battle to lift his spirits. Ash eagerly accepts, and the two face off in an impromptu match in a battle area not too far from the tower. Clement sends out a Bunnelby, while Ash relies on Pikachu. The battle is intense, with Clement showcasing a deep understanding of strategy, particularly in counting Pikachu's electric-type moves, but Ash's adaptability and quick thinking gives him the edge, his years of battle experience showing through, and he emerges victorious. The battle doesn't go unnoticed. Feroki, watching from the trees above, intrigued by Ash's fighting spirit, while Alon observes from the sidelines, his expression unreadable. Ash and Pikachu celebrate a victory well earned. While neither could get the gym battle they wanted, the victory over Clement will do for the time being, both Clement and Bonnie complimenting Ash on how in sync he is with Pikachu. Ash is a bit modest here, telling Clement that he's just as good as he is. He thought that they were going to lose when Bunnelby was able to counter all of their electric-type attacks. Clement is a bit reserved as his skills as a Pokemon trainer, but his little sister Bonnie is quick to speak up, that Ash doesn't know just how good her big brother is. After all, he is. The tension in the air is palpable, as the young girl's words are abruptly silenced by a voice that cuts through the celebration like a blade. All eyes turn to the sidelines, where Alon steps forward, his presence magnetic, and his demeanor as sharp as the edge of a sword. His piercing gaze locks onto Ash, and though his words are measured, there's an undeniable challenge in his tone. "You're not bad," he says, his voice carrying a faint air of superiority, as if testing Ash's resolve. "But let's see how you handle a real battle." For a moment, Ash hesitates. Pikachu, still recovering from their last fight, pants heavily at his side, its tiny body trembling with exhaustion. But then, as if sensing the fire in Ash's heart, Pikachu's cheeks crackle with electricity, its eyes gleaming with determination. The spark of defiance is all that Ash needs. A grin spreads across his face as he squares his shoulders, refusing to back down. "You're on," he declares, his voice steady and full of conviction. Alon smirks, a glint of amusement in his eyes, and with a swift motion he releases his Charmeleon. The fiery Pokemon emerges with a roar, its claws gleaming and its tail flickering aggressively. The battlefield seems to shrink under the weight of its intensity, and Ash can feel the heat radiating from its very presence. This isn't just a battle, it's a test of wills. The fight begins in a blur of motion. Alon's Charmeleon is relentless, its attacks coming fast and furious. Flamethrowers scorch the ground, and embers attack rain down like a fiery storm. Ash and Pikachu dodge and weave, their movements a testament to their bond and years of training. But despite their best efforts, the sheer power of Charmeleon's onslaught pushes them to their limits. Pikachu's thunderbolts repeatedly graze the fire lizard, causing the damage to stack up as it begins to glow in a red flame. Ash can feel the tide of this battle shifting against them. Charmeleon's blaze has been activated, and the tides are beginning to turn. Then, just when it seems like all hope has been lost, things go from bad to worse. Charmeleon erupts in flames and unleashes a devastating flamethrower, the flames roaring towards Pikachu like a hungry beast just as it collapsed from the stress of the two back-to-back battles. Without a second thought, Ash leaps in front of his partner, shielding Pikachu with his own body. Bonnie and Clement gasp, the moment stretching into eternity, until a blur of blue streaks across the battlefield, intercepting the attack in a burst of light and smoke. When the dust settles, Feroki stands tall, its body singed and its spirit unbroken. The tiny water type had thrown itself in harm's way to protect Ash and Pikachu, its eyes gleaming with a fierce loyalty that takes everyone by surprise before it looks at Alon as it collapses from the attack. Alon, however, remains eerily calm. His gaze lingers on Feroki for a moment before he speaks, his voice cool and detached. "That Feroki, it's not mine," he says, as if the act of bravery meant nothing. "It belongs to Professor Sycamore. You should take it back." With that, he turns on his heels, his Charmeleon following obediently, leaving Ash and his friends in stunned silence. Ash's fist clenched at his side, his heart pounding with a mix of anger and confusion. "You can't just abandon your Pokemon like that, he shouts after Alon, but the mysterious trainer is already gone, disappearing into the distance as if the battle had been nothing more than a fleeting distraction. Ash is left with more questions than answers, but one thing is clear. Furoki's act of courage has ignited something deep within him. Gently, Ash scoops up the injured Furoki, cradling it in his arms. "You saved us," he murmurs, his voice filled with gratitude. "Thank you." With Clement and Bonnie by his side, Ash sets off for this Professor Sycamore's lab, his resolve stronger than ever. The journey ahead is uncertain, but Ash knows one thing: this is just the beginning. What follows is a sense of urgency as Ash, Clement, and Bonnie burst into Professor Sycamore's lab, their faces flushed from running. The air is thick with an anticipation as Ash screams for help into the empty hall before him. His cries don't go unnoticed as a voice calls out, asking if everything is alright. Then, from down a hallway, a man in a white lab coat appears, asking what the problem is. Ash quickly recounts the chaotic encounter with Alon, the mysterious and powerful trainer who left Furoki behind after it took the overcharged flamethrower to protect our hero and Pikachu. Professor Sycamore, ever the calm and thoughtful mentor, listens intently, his expression shifting to one of nostalgia and concern as Ash finishes his story. With a look of concern on the face of the professor, he tells them to follow him. They will make sure Furoki is okay. A little while later, we find the group in a room that Furoki now sits in on a table being looked over by one of Sycamore's assistants, while the rest of them watch through a glass wall. Alon, Sycamore begins, his voice tinged with a mix of pride and regret. He was one of my research assistants, you know. Brilliant, driven, and incredibly skilled in battle. Together, we studied Mega Evolution, a phenomenon that bridges the bond between trainer and Pokemon to unlock unimaginable power. The professor's eyes flicker to Furoki. Alon had a natural talent for connecting with Pokemon, especially those with potential for Mega Evolution. Both Charmander and Furoki were drawn to him, but Sycamore then pauses, his voice softening. Charmander was the only one capable of Mega Evolution, so Alon chose it, leaving Furoki behind. The room falls silent as the weight of Furoki's rejection sinks in. Sycamore continues, explaining how Furoki, despite its determination and spirit, struggled to find a trainer who could match its energy. It would bond briefly with others, only to return to the lab, its heart still set on Alon. Furoki never gave up, Sycamore says, a hint of admiration in its tone. It kept chasing Alon, hoping to prove itself, but Alon's ambitions grew higher and higher. He became obsessed with achieving Mega Evolution, leaving Furoki behind entirely. Then, the other day, Alon announced that he had learned all he could under me, and decided to resign as part of my research team, and left before I could even have a word with him. That was about the time that Furoki went missing as well. I assumed that it had followed Alon in one final attempt to gain his favor, but that's when it crossed paths with you, Ash. Our hero's eyes widen as he looks at Furoki, understanding the depths of its determination. That's why it was so persistent when we first met, he murmurs, a spark of respect igniting in his chest. Clement, ever the intellectual, chimes in, eager to explain the science behind Mega Evolution. It's a fascinating process, he exclaims, adjusting his glasses. A Pokemon and its trainer must share an unbreakable bond, and with the help of a Megastone and a Keystone, they can unlock a temporary but incredible transformation. Ash grins, impressed. Clement, you really know your stuff. But Clement, ever humbled, deflects the praise. It's nothing special, he says. Mega Evolution is all anyone talks about here in Kalos. If you live here, you have to kind of know about it. The conversation is interrupted as a low rumble echoes through the lab. The group turns to see Sycamore's Garchomp, towering and majestic dragon-type Pokemon, enter the room. Its presence is commanding, yet there's a gentleness in the way it approaches Furoki, nuzzling the smaller Pokemon affectionately as it sleeps on the table. Ash watches in awe as the two interact, their bond evident. They're really close, huh, he remarks, a smile tugging at his lips. Before the moment can settle, Sycamore is called away. It's time for our next experiment, he announces, his excitement palpable. We're attempting to observe Mega Evolution in real time. Bonnie and Clement eagerly follow him, with Garchomp trailing behind. Ash lingers for a moment, crouching down to Furoki's level. Hey, he says softly, his voice filled with sincerity. I think you're amazing, Furoki, and I know you'll find the right trainer someday, someone who sees how incredible you really are. As Ash then turns to run off, Furoki cracks an eyelid to see the boy, seemingly a new glimmer of hope appearing. Things then shift over to the experiment, where Sycamore stands before a complex array of machinery, his Garchomp at the center. Mega Evolution is rare, he explains, addressing the group. It requires a specific Megastone for the Pokemon and a Keystone for the trainer. But what if we could bypass those limitations? limitations. What if we could make Mega Evolution accessible to everyone, leveling the playing field so that battles are decided by skill alone, not by who has the rarest stones? This statement intrigues everyone, especially Clement, as he seems to have a specific interest in it, but the boy does his best to hold back his intrigue so as not to draw attention to himself as Sycamore prepares the machine. The experiment begins, and at first, everything seems to go according to plan. Garchomp's body begins to glow, energy swirling around it as the machine hums with power. But then, something goes wrong. The energy surges uncontrollably, and Garchomp lets out a roar as its form begins to shift erratically. The machine overloads, sparks flying as Garchomp breaks free, its eyes wild with frenzy. It smashes through the lab wall, escaping into the city, leaving everyone to gather their bearings on what just happened. "We have to stop it," Sycamore shouts, his voice filled with urgency. "If we can tire Garchomp out, the Mega Evolution will wear off, and it will return to normal." Without hesitation, Ash takes off out the main door of the lab. However, the boy is stopped, as at the entrance is Froakie. It had heard the cry of its friend, and knew that it couldn't just lay there and let someone else handle this. "You want to help Garchomp, don't you?" he asks. Froakie nods, showing that when it comes to friends, the water type will not stand back in their time of need. Ash can see that there's no arguing, so the boy reaches his hand out, telling Froakie to hop on up. They will go save Garchomp together. Doing so, the frog mounts the shoulder of Ash as the three dart out of the lab, heading to the center of the city. Clement and Bonnie follow close behind, their determination unwavering. As they race through the streets, Sycamore's assistant calls out, "Lysander Labs isn't going to be happy about this. Their new machine is destroyed." But Sycamore doesn't falter. "That doesn't matter right now," he firmly says. "We have to save Garchomp." Now we have a dramatic shift to the towering structure, its silhouette piercing the sky as chaos unfolds below. The city is alive with the hum of activity, but the tension is palpable. Ash, ever the determined trainer, is in hot pursuit, racing up the tower's spiraling steps. His breath comes in short bursts, his focus razor sharp, as he chases after the source of the destruction. Above him, the sky darkens and the air crackles with energy. Something monumental is about to happen. Ash, Pikachu, and Froakie know that what is about to happen isn't good. "Come on, guys, we need to get up there and help Garchomp now." The three then take off skybound, as fast as their feet will carry them. At the top of the tower, Garchomp, the ferocious dragon type, is undergoing its final transformation. Its body shimmers with an otherworldly glow as it mega evolves fully, its power surging to unimaginable levels. The transformation is complete, and with the roar that shakes the very foundation of the tower, Garchomp launches a devastating attack. Just as our hero emerges at the top of the tower, Ash, realizing the gravity of the situation, knows he has no choice but to rely on his most trusted partner, Pikachu. The electric mouse stands ready, its cheeks sparkling with determination, but even Pikachu seems to sense the overwhelming odds stacked against them. As the battle rages, the commotion draws the attention of everyone in the city. People gather in the streets, their eyes fixated on the top of the tower, where flashes of light and bursts of energy illuminate the night sky. Among the onlookers is Alon, the skilled trainer that seeks Mega Evolution, who watches with a mix of curiosity and concern. He knows the power of a fully Mega Evolved Pokemon, and to make it worse, he has a special bond with this particular Garchomp. Clenching the ball of his Charmeleon, Alon knows that he won't be able to sit on the sidelines for this. But little does Alon know, he won't be alone up there. As Alon tries to find his way into the tower, we swap over to Clement and Bonnie, who see the trainer trying to find a way in. However, Clement knows one truth about the tower. When something like this happens, it automatically seals itself off due to the computer system that's inside. However, the blonde-haired boy isn't going to let this stop him. He immediately heads to a back door that very few people know about and begins to punch in a code that seemingly activates the system, but almost as immediately as the light turns green, it flashes back to red, denying Clement entry. "No, not now, you stupid Jim. I was the one who designed you. You're not going to keep me from helping Garchomp." However, no matter what the technical wizard tries, he can't seem to bypass the security system. With Bonnie questioning the entire way how they're going to get up to help Garchomp, there has to be a way into the gym. She believes in Clement. After all, he's the one who designed the whole system. As the frustration with the young blonde-haired boy begins to fill, we move back to the top of the tower, where we see Ash, Pikachu, and Froakie all engaging with Garchomp. The trio manages to hold their own for a moment. Their combined efforts created a brief but exhilarating sense of hope. Froakie's agility and Pikachu's electric attacks work in tandem, but Garchomp's sheer power proves to be too much to handle. In a heart-stopping moment, Pikachu takes the direct hit of Garchomp's Dragon Pulse. The force of the attack, sending the tiny Pokemon skidding to the edge of the tower. The crowd gasps, and Ash's heart skips a beat as he realizes how close Pikachu is to falling. The scene then shifts to Serena and her mother, who are among the many watching the events unfold on TV. At first, this is just another one of Professor Sycamore's crazy Mega Evolution experiments that has gone airily wrong. But when the camera finally zooms in on the event up close, Serena's eyes widen in recognition as she realizes that the boy battling atop the tower is none other than Ash. Her heart races, a mix of admiration and fear for her childhood crush flooding her thoughts. She knows Ash's determination, but she also knows the risks he is taking. Back at the tower, Ash and Froakie are left to face Garchomp alone as Pikachu was knocked out by a Dragon Rush only moments earlier. Ash turns to Froakie, his voice steady but urgent. "We need to save Garchomp," he says, his words carrying a weight that resonates deeply with the water-type Pokemon. This alignment in goals triggers something within Froakie, a surge of power that consumes it in a torrent of water. This transformation is brief but awe-inspiring, giving Froakie the strength to match Garchomp's might, if only for a moment. In this instant, Alon arrives, finally ascending the tower to see an all-out battle between Froakie and Garchomp, with Ash giving the frog commands. However, it's obvious that Froakie's activated Torrent ability, which Alon has seen many times before, isn't enough to overcome the dragon, forcing him to send in Charmeleon. Seeing the necessity for more power, Ash and Froakie decide to team up with Alon and Charmeleon. This leads into a second counterattack that proves to be more effective with the two attacking as one. However, like always, the problem with Froakie's hidden power is that it can't last, and it begins to fade with the powerful strike as Froakie knocks Garchomp's head down, causing the tower's footing to crack under the force of a Dragon Pulse. Unfortunately, this isn't enough, and Garchomp seems to only be angered by this, while it appears the efforts have finally taken its toll, and Froakie's torrent fades completely, leaving both Pokemon and trainer exhausted. Seeing that there's little other option, Alon resorts to a drastic measure, telling his Fire Lizard to get on the back of Garchomp, putting the dragon in a headlock. As Charmeleon applies pressure to Garchomp's neck, the land shark flails about, slowly losing its momentum until Garchomp is too spent. Ash yells for Alon to stop. They have won, but he tells Charmeleon not to break its grip until it's done. This causes Ash to get angered, but just then, the Mega Evolution fades, and the once mighty Pokemon collapses, its energy drained. But the battle's aftermath brings a new danger. The force of Garchomp's collapse causes the edge of the tower where Pikachu lies to give way. The ground crumbles as Pikachu plummets in a freefall. Without a second thought, Ash leaps after his beloved partner, his actions a testament to his selflessness and unwavering bond with Pikachu. Froakie watches in awe, its respect for Ash deepening as the boy risks everything to save his friend, while Alon can't help to question why would the boy do such a thing. For a moment, it seems like all is lost. However, Ash catches Pikachu mid-air, but the ground isn't far below, and there's no way to stop the descent. Just as despair sets in, a blaze of fire erupts, catching Ash and Pikachu in a fiery yet gentle embrace, the flames carrying them safely to the ground. And Ash looks up, his eyes widen with recognition. He feels like he's seen this Pokemon before, but the mysterious creature disappears before he can get a closer look. The city breathes a collective sigh of relief as the danger passes. Ash returns to the top of the tower, only to find Froakie and a very depleted Garchomp. Alon seems to have vanished in Ash's disappearance, leaving our hero with more questions than answers, as he really wanted to confront the trainer about the way he had handled Garchomp, but with nothing left to do. Ash, Froakie, and Pikachu, with the help of Clement and Bonnie, manage to return Garchomp to the lab, their bodies wary, but their spirits unbroken. The events of the night have left an indelible mark on everyone involved, and as they settle in for a well-deserved rest, the bonds between trainer and Pokemon grow even stronger. The tower stands as a silent witness to the bravery and determination that unfolded atop its heights, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, courage and friendship prevail. The next morning, the air was buzzing with excitement and promise of a new beginnings. Ash, ever the eager adventurer, is preparing to leave Lumio City and continue his journey through the Kalos region. As he packs his belongings and double-checks his supplies, he can't help but to feel a surge of anticipation for the challenges and friendships that lay ahead. But before he could set off, there is one last thing that he has to do. Say goodbye to Professor Sycamore, Garchomp, and Froakie, who have been such a great help during the last day, allowing them to rest. As Ash approaches the stairs of the lab, he is met with an unexpected surprise. Clement, the inventive and kind-hearted boy that Ash had only met the day prior, stands there with his younger sister Bonnie, both looking determined. Clement steps forward, his usual calm demeanor replaced with a spark of excitement. "Ash," he begins, his voice steady but filled with admiration. "Your courage in helping Garchomp the other day has really inspired me. You didn't hesitate to jump in and do what was right, even when things seemed impossible. It made me realize that I want to get stronger too, not just as a trainer, but as a person. I think traveling with you will help me grow, and I'd be honored to join you on your journey." Bonnie, ever the cheerful and energetic companion, chimes in. "And I'm coming too. Someone has to keep an eye on the two of you," she grins. Ash's face lights up with a wide smile. He had already formed a strong bond with both Clement and Bonnie during their time together, and the idea of traveling with them fills him with excitement. "Of course you can join me," Ash exclaims, his voice brimming with enthusiasm. "The more, the merrier. We're going to have an amazing adventure together." But just as they're celebrating their excitement of forming a new band of friends, something unexpected yet extraordinary happens. Froakie, the spirited water-type Pokemon that had been under Professor Sycamore's care, suddenly appears, holding its Pokeball in its hands. It approaches Ash with a determined look in its eyes, as if it had made a life-changing decision. Froakie nudges the ball forward to Ash, its resolve unmistakable. It has chosen Ash as its trainer. Ash is taken aback, but deeply moved. He kneels down to Froakie's level and gently takes the Pokeball from its grip. "You want to come with me, huh?" Ash asks, his voice soft but filled with gratitude. Froakie nods firmly, its eyes shining with determination. Professor Sycamore, who had been watching the scene unfold, steps forward with a proud smile. "It seems Froakie has finally found a trainer it believes in aside from Alon," he says. "Ash, I've never seen Froakie show this kind of resolve before with anyone else but Alon. It sees something special in you. Take good care of it and help it grow strong in a way that no one else can." Ash stands up, holding Froakie's Pokeball tightly. "Don't worry, Professor," he says with a confident grin. "I'll make sure Froakie becomes the best it can be. We're going to do great things together," recalling the water type and making it his first official catch of the Kalos region. With that, Ash, Clement, and Bonnie, with the rest of their Pokemon, set off, their hearts full with excitement and their spirits high. Their first stop is the Lumio City Pokemon Center, where Ash takes the opportunity to officially register for the Kalos League. The moment was significant. It marked with the beginnings of his official journey to become a Pokemon Master in the Kalos region. As he filled out the registration form, Ash couldn't help but to feel a surge of determination. This was it, the start of a new chapter, and he was ready to give it his all. With their preparations complete, the group departs the bustling city, venturing into the open roads and lush landscapes of Kalos. The sun shone brightly overhead, casting a golden glow on the path ahead. Ash, Clement, and Bonnie walked side by side, their laughter and chatter filling the air. Froakie, now officially part of Ash's team, hops alongside of them, its energy and enthusiasm matching that of its new trainer. As they move further from the city, the possibilities seem endless. New Pokemon to meet, new battles to fight, and new friendships to forge. It was all waiting for them. Ash can't help but to feel a sense of gratitude for the companions who have chosen to join him on his journey. With Clement's ingenuity, Bonnie's boundless energy, and Froakie's unwavering resolve, he knew that together they could overcome any challenge that will come their way. It's here that things shift in focus, cutting to Serena on the very same day that Ash left the bustling city of Lumios. The atmosphere is charged with tension, a stark contrast to the hopeful energy of Ash's departure. Serena, the fiery and determined young girl with dreams bigger than the Kalos region itself, is standing at the center of a storm brewing within her home. Her mother, Grace, a former Rhyhorn racer, has always envisioned Serena following in her footsteps. But Serena's heart beats to a different rhythm, one that yearns for adventure, self-discovery, with a path and a boy she can call her own. The scene pans to Serena's room, where her Rhyhorn gear lies scattered across the floor, a symbol of the life her mother has meticulously planned for her. Serena, however, is anything but resigned. Her eyes burn with defiance as she paces back and forth, her mind racing with thoughts of escape. She knows what she wants, what she needs, and it isn't this. It isn't the endless drills, the rigorous training, or the suffocating expectations. She wants to carve out her own destiny, just like Ash is doing, but her mother doesn't understand. How could she? To Grace, Rhyhorn racing isn't just a sport, it's a legacy, a tradition, a way of life, and Serena's rejection of it feels like a personal betrayal. The tension between mother and daughter reaches a boiling point later that evening. Grace, ever the disciplinarian, confronts Serena about her lack of commitment to the training. "You have a gift, Serena," she insists, her voice a mix of frustration and desperation. "Why can't you see that? Why won't you even try?" But Serena's resolve is unshakable. "Because it's not my dream, Mom," she fires back, her voice trembling with emotion. "It's yours, and I'm tired of living someone else's life. The argument escalates, words flying like arrows, each one piercing deeper than the last. Finally, Grace, at her wit's end, sends Serena to her room, hoping that some time alone will help her see some reason. But Serena isn't one to be caged. As the moon rises high in the sky, casting a silvery glow over the quiet town, Serena makes her move. She tiptoes through the house, her heart pounding in her chest, careful not to make a sound. She pauses at the door to the stable where her Rhyhorn sleeps. The bond between them is undeniable. Even if Serena has no desire to follow the path her mother has laid out, she kneels beside the gentle giant, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm sorry," she murmurs, her hand resting on Rhyhorn's sturdy frame. "I have to do this. Take care of Mom for me, okay? I'll be back someday, I promise." Rhyhorn lets out a soft grunt, as if understanding, and Serena feels a ping of guilt, but also a surge of determination. This is her moment, her chance to break free. With one last glance at the home she's known her whole life, Serena slips out into the night, her bag slung over her shoulder and her heart full of both fear and excitement. The world is vast and unknown, but it's hers to explore. She doesn't look back. The next morning, Grace awakes to an eerie silence. Something feels off. She calls out for Serena, but there's no response. Panic sets in as she rushes to her daughter's room, only to find it empty, a bed neatly made and a note left on the pillow. Grace's hands tremble as she picks it up, her eyes scanning the words. "I'm sorry, Mom. I have to find my own way. I'll be back someday. Love, Serena." The note slips from her fingers as the weight of the situation crashes down on her. Her daughter is gone, and Grace can't help but to feel she's the reason. Grace's face shows signs of the storm of emotions swirling within her. Anger, guilt, fear, and regret. She sinks into a chair, her mind racing. Should she go after Serena? Bring her back? Or is this what Serena truly needs? A chance to spread her wings and fly. Grace's heart aches with the realization that she may have pushed her daughter too hard, too far. She gazes out the window, her eyes distant, as the first rays of sun break through the horizon. The world outside feels vast and uncertain, much like the future of her relationship with Serena. Meanwhile, Serena is already miles away, her footsteps light but determined. The road ahead is uncertain, but for the first time in her life, she feels free. The winds carry the promise of new beginnings, and Serena embraces it with open arms. Her journey is just beginning, and the world is waiting. Now we move over to a grand, opulent chamber nestled deep within the heart of the towering, luminous structure that seems to pierce the heavens. The walls of the room are adorned with intricate carvings and glowing runes, suggesting a blend of ancient artistry and advanced technology. The air is thick with an aura of importance, as if the very fate of the world could be decided within these walls. The room is bathed in a soft, golden light emanating from an unknown source, casting long shadows that dance across the floor. At the center of this room stands a man who commands attention simply by his presence. He is tall, with a commanding posture, and his fiery red hair and well-groomed beard give him an air of both nobility and intensity. This is Lysander, a figure of immense power and influence, whose very name invokes both admiration and fear. Lysander is dressed in a tailored suit that combines modern elegance with subtle hints of ancient motifs, symbolizing his dual focus on cutting-edge technology and the wisdom of the past. His piercing blue eyes are fixated on an ancient painting that hangs on the wall before him. The painting is a masterpiece, its colors still vibrant despite the passage of over 1,000 years. It depicts an epic battle, with warriors clad in archaic armor clashing against monstrous creatures under a stormy sky. The artist's imagination is evident in the dramatic poses and exaggerated expressions of the figures, but Lysander's gaze is critical, as if he sees something deeply flawed in the depiction. Standing a few paces behind Lysander is Zerosik, the head of his science division. Zerosik is a stark contrast to Lysander in both appearance and demeanor. He's tall, stout frame is clad in a lab coat adorned with various technological gadgets, and his sharp, calculating eyes are hidden behind a pair of sleek glasses. His hair is a disheveled mess, suggesting long hours spent in the lab, and his voice carries a tone of both respect and urgency as he addresses his superior. Lysander, Zerosik begins, his voice cutting through the heavy silence. "The machine we sent Professor Sycamore, it was destroyed. The Garchomp used for the experiment went on a rampage. It seems the new section of the runes that we uncovered the other day had an unforeseen effect on it. I'm afraid it was also the cause of the disturbance we found outside of the tower. It must have been drawn here by the ruins." Lysander does not immediately respond. His attention remains fixated on the ancient painting, his fingers lightly tracing the edge of the frame as if trying to connect with the artist who created it over a millennia ago. The silence stretches on, heavy and expectant, until Lysander finally speaks. His voice is deep and resonant, carrying an undercurrent undercurrent of authority and a hint of something darker. This artist, he says, gesturing to the painting, used his imagination to depict an ancient battle, but it is wildly inaccurate. The chaos, the scale, the very essence of what happened, he could not possibly have known. There is a strange quality to Lysander's words, as if he's speaking from personal experience, as if he himself had witnessed the events of the painting's portrayal. Xerosic frowns, his curiosity piqued, but before he can inquire further, Lysander turns to face him, his expression unreadable. "Contact Sycamore," Lysander commands, his tone leaving no room for argument. "I want a full report on what happened during the experiment. Every reading, every data point, no matter how insignificant it may seem. I need it all. This is not just about the machine. It's about understanding the power we are dealing with. The ruins, the guard shop, the energy it unleashed. It's all connected, and it will be the key to creating a new power source for Yggdrasil." The mythical world tree is more than just a symbol to Lysander. It represents the culmination of his life's work, a project of unimaginable scale and ambition. The new power source he seeks is not just a means to an end. It is the foundation of his vision for the future, a future he believes will save the world from its inevitable doom. But as Xerosic nods and turns to carry out his orders, there is a lingering sense of unease. The destruction of the machine, the rampaging of the Garchomp, and the mysterious energy from the ruins all point to forces that may be beyond even Lysander's control. As Xerosic exits the room, Lysander returns his gaze to the ancient painting. His mind races with thoughts of the past and the future, of the power he seeks and the price that must be paid to obtain it. The luminous tower around him hums with energy, a testament to the technological marvels he has already achieved. But in the depths of his soul, Lysander knows that the true challenge lies not in harnessing power, but in understanding it. And as he stares at the inaccurate depiction of an ancient battle, he can't help but to wonder if history is destined to repeat itself, or if he alone can change its course. And this is where we are going to end things for now. So tell me, how did you feel about the first part of What If Ash won the Kalos League? There have been a lot of changes that are significant to the story, and I would like to know what your guys' overall thoughts are, from the change in the writing style to the way everything is being depicted, and the introduction to Alon much earlier, as well as all of the other notable changes that have happened in this story so far. I know I've got your brains forming theories and what you think is going to happen going forward, so I want to know in the comments down below. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.